Stop. Before you scroll past this video, I need you to understand something. What you are about to hear was never supposed to be told. No record, no file, no official report. Just one man, one jungle, and a trail of silence so terrifying that even the soldiers who survived it refused to speak of it for decades. Picture this. Vietnam, 1968. A war fought in noise. Helicopters, napalm, machine guns. The Americans believed in one thing: volume. If you fired enough bullets, you won. If you burned enough jungle, you won. If you were loud enough, you won. Until one man arrived. No armor, no radio, no backup, just a dagger and silence. The elite troops laughed at him. They called him a tourist, a joke, a waste of a helicopter seat. But within 48 hours, those same men were calling in something else, a ghost. Because this man didn't fight the jungle, he became it. He walked through minefields without triggering a single one. He eliminated an entire enemy crew without firing a single shot. He made hardened soldiers believe that something inhuman was hunting them in the dark. His name was Corporal Logan, codename Dingo. And this is his story. Stay until the very end, because the final truth changes everything you think you know about this man. Forward Operating Base 2, Vietnam, 1968. It wasn't really a base, it was a pressure cooker, days away from exploding. Rock music blasted through walls of sandbags. Helicopters screamed overhead in a constant grinding loop. The air tasted of burnt aviation fuel, unwashed men, and the low iron smell of blood. These were elite soldiers, rangers, killers, survivors. Men who had walked into the throat of the jungle and walked back out. They believed in one doctrine: firepower wins wars. More bullets, more airstrikes, more destruction. Overwhelm the enemy until they can't breathe, until nothing is left standing. It was a philosophy forged in fire. It had worked before. They had no reason to doubt it, until the helicopter landed. No unit markings on the hull, no escort, no warning, no announcement on the radio. Just a machine that descended from the white-hot sky, and from it stepped one man. One. No body armor, no helmet, no tactical vest loaded with gear. Just a faded uniform, sun-bleached, worn thin at the elbows. A soft bush hat with the brim trimmed down. An old kit bag that looked like it had been dragged across 3 wars. And a rifle, scratched, battered, that looked older than the war itself. But the detail that froze every eye on the base was the dagger. A Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife, World War II design, strapped to his chest, handle facing down. Cold steel, old world, deadly. Sergeant Rico, 6'4", built like a concrete wall, called bulldozer by everyone who'd ever watched him work, leaned over to the man beside him. Command sent us a tourist. Laughter rolled across the base like a wave, but Captain Marcus Stone didn't laugh. Stone had been in Vietnam long enough to develop a second set of eyes. Eyes that didn't look at what a man was wearing. Eyes that watched how a man moved. And what he saw made the back of his neck go cold. Logan didn't walk. He flowed. Every step, precise. Every movement, economical. Not a single wasted motion. Not one unnecessary gesture. And his eyes, the color of a storm at sea. They weren't looking at people. They were mapping the base. Every exit, every shadow, every weak point in the perimeter. Stone thought to himself, this is not a soldier. This is a predator. Logan was placed in the barracks with Cobra Team. 8 men who had fought together, bled together, and developed the kind of trust that only violence can build. They tried to bring him in, offered him a beer, a plate of food, the casual cruelty of soldier humor. He declined, silently, didn't join the debrief, didn't respond to Sergeant Rico's taunts, didn't explain himself, didn't defend himself. Instead, he sat in the corner of the barracks, pulled his Fairbairn Sykes knife from its sheath, and began to sharpen it. Metal on stone. Again, again, again. In a room full of noise and aggression, it was the quietest sound in the world. And somehow, that made it the most terrifying. The Americans couldn't understand it. They were built for dominance, for noise, for the kind of aggression that announces itself. Logan was something else, something ancient, something they had no word for. He checked the camp's tripwires each morning, not by looking at them, by running his fingertips along the wire, eyes closed, feeling the tension, the angle, the age of each line. He could sit motionless in the tree line for 4 hours, perfectly still, his breathing so shallow that his chest barely moved. Not meditation, not patience, predatory stillness, the kind of stillness a crocodile uses, waiting, watching, already measuring the distance. One evening, Stone sat across from his deputy and said something quietly, something the deputy dismissed as exhaustion talking. He's not here to learn how to fight from us. He's here because we're too loud to survive. Nobody took it seriously. They were preparing for Operation Nightingale, a deep jungle reconnaissance mission, in and out, clean, fast. They cleaned their rifles loudly, made plans for leave, told jokes, laughed at the quiet Australian with his ancient knife. They had 48 hours before everything changed, and they spent those 48 hours laughing. Operation Nightingale began at 0400 hours. 6 men moved into the jungle in single file. Logan was assigned rear guard, a position the others treated like an insult. The jungle was wrong from the first step. No birds, no insects, the kind of silence that isn't peaceful, the kind of silence that means something is listening. Sergeant Rico, on point, felt it but couldn't name it, pushed forward anyway, because that was the doctrine. Move fast, hit hard, don't let doubt slow you down. Then, the world exploded. Machine gun fire erupted from 3 directions simultaneously, perfectly coordinated, pre-positioned, waiting. This wasn't a firefight, this was a trap, and they had walked directly into its jaws. Mortar rounds began to fall. The radio hissed static, jammed. 2 men went down in the first 30 seconds. Sergeant Rico, the bulldozer, the man who laughed loudest, was behind a fallen tree, face pressed into the dirt, shouting orders nobody could hear. It was chaos. Pure, screaming, burning chaos. And then, Logan moved. Not backward, not into cover. Forward. He moved through the firefight like a man walking through his own kitchen, calm, purposeful. Invisible in the smoke, he dropped to his knees near the edge of the trail, ran his hands along the ground, and found it. A tripwire. Half an inch from the boot of Private Chen. If Chen had taken one more step, he would have triggered a claymore mine. The blast would have ended the retreat before it started. Logan cut the wire with one clean slice. Then, without a word, turned to the team. His hand signals were brief. 3 gestures. Follow. Silent. Now. And he walked, not ran, into the swamp. The swamp that didn't exist on any tactical map. The swamp that, by every calculation, was impassable. Rico hesitated for half a second, looked at the wall of gunfire ahead, looked at the calm, faded figure disappearing into the black water. He followed. They all did. 45 minutes. That's how long it took to crawl through hell, chest-deep water, rotting roots, leeches by the dozen, enemy patrols crashing through the brush 20 meters above them, and Logan, guiding them through all of it, not with noise, not with orders, with silence, with instinct, with something none of them could name. When they finally pulled themselves out onto dry ground, 2 kilometers from the ambush site, deep in enemy-controlled territory that the enemy considered impenetrable, they were alive. All of them. Sergeant Rico pulled a leech from his neck, looked at the Australian, and said nothing. Because there was nothing to say. The tourist had just saved every man on that team, and done it without firing a single bullet. The relief of being alive lasted exactly 1 night. Because the real nightmare hadn't started yet. 7 nights in a row, same time, every time, 0200 hours. The darkness would crack open, and 3 mortar rounds would fall. Precisely placed, mathematically perfect, right into the center of the compound. Then silence, and then the waiting, the unbearable, nerve-shredding waiting, for the next night. The crew was invisible. Fire, dismantle, vanish. By the time the first American alarm sounded, they were already ghosts. What it did to the men of FOB2 was something the after-action reports would never fully capture. Elite soldiers, men who had held positions under artillery fire, who had walked through burning villages, who had done things that don't appear in official records, were crumbling. Eyes permanently wide, hands that trembled when they thought nobody was watching. A hollow, glassy look that came from too many nights of being afraid and having no target to aim that fear at.
Captain Stone responded the only way he knew how: firepower. Every night, the moment the first round landed, the sky became fire. Artillery pounding the ridge lines, jets dropping napalm, acres of jungle turned into a roaring orange wall of destruction. It was impressive, it was expensive, and it accomplished absolutely nothing, because the next night, at exactly 0200 hours, the mortars fell again. Logan watched from the edge of the command bunker, arms crossed, face unreadable. Watching the American war machine fight silence with fire, he waited until Stone turned around. Then he said, quietly, "Burning the forest to catch a mouse is not strategy. It's desperation." Stone stared at him. Logan was already walking toward the armory, but he didn't take a rifle. He didn't take ammunition. He didn't take grenades, or a radio, or backup. He took two things: his knife, and a coil of thin, strong wire. And at dusk, he went over the perimeter fence, without a sound, into the absolute black of the jungle. Alone,
The base waited. Stone ordered all outgoing artillery silenced. Logan's one condition before he left. For 6 hours, FOB-2 sat in the dark and said nothing. Midnight passed. 1 a.m. Every minute felt like it had weight. And then, 0200 hours. Nothing. No whistle of incoming shells. No detonation shaking the walls. No screaming. Just the jungle, breathing. Soldiers looked at their watches, looked at each other, couldn't speak. The curse was broken. At dawn, the tree line parted, and Logan walked out, unhurried, covered in mud, but no blood on him. No signs of a firefight. No wounds. No exhaustion. He walked straight into the command bunker, where Stone sat with his fourth cold coffee of the night. Logan reached into his kit and placed something on the map table, a heavy metal component, placed down with a dull clank against the wood. The optical sighting mechanism of a Soviet mortar, still warm, covered in something dark, something that wasn't mud. Logan said nothing, wiped his hands on a cloth, poured himself a mug of coffee, and sat down. Stone stared at the sighting mechanism for a long time, then looked up. How many? Logan looked at him over the rim of his mug. 3. The full picture only came 2 days later, when a long-range patrol found the mortar site. What they found there made men who had seen the worst of the war look away. 3 enemy soldiers, at their posts, equipment intact, mortar tube assembled, ready to fire. They had never known what hit them. No bullet wounds, no signs of a struggle. The wire Logan had taken was missing. The message to every enemy unit within radio range was clear. The jungle has a new predator, one that doesn't need guns, one that doesn't make noise, one that walks in while you're sleeping, and you never wake up. The mortar attack stopped, forever. 2 weeks later, Cobra team found something that wasn't supposed to exist. A valley that appeared on no tactical map, unmarked, unacknowledged, officially empty. The point man froze. Through the canopy, less than 100 meters away, lay a fully operational enemy logistics base. This wasn't a camp. This was a fortress. Hardened bunkers, supply caches stacked floor to ceiling, guard rotations that moved with military precision, and troop numbers that outnumbered the 6-man Cobra team by a ratio of 20-1. Captain Stone had the radio in his hand before he finished counting, his thumb on the transmit button, coordinates already forming in his mouth. Airstrike, napalm, end it. Then a hand, quietly, rested on his arm. Logan, eyes on the base, face unreadable, shook his head once. Stone stared at him. Logan pointed 2 fingers at his own eyes, then at the base, then held up one open hand. "Give me 5 minutes." Stone wanted to say no. Every instinct shaped by years of doctrine and air superiority said no. But he remembered the swamp. He remembered the mortar site, still warm on his map table. He lowered the radio. Logan moved into the jungle. 5 minutes. 10. Then, the base changed. Not explosions. Not gunfire. Something else. A shout in the dark, cut short. A guard at the eastern perimeter, simply gone. Whispered orders inside the bunkers turning to sharp, panicked voices. Then the running started. Not organized retreat. Not tactical withdrawal. Panic. Pure animal fear spreading through the compound like fire. Men dropping weapons,
running for the tree line, abandoning positions, supplies, everything. Because something was moving through that base. Something they couldn't see. Something that took men silently, one by one, and left no trace. When Cobra team moved in 15 minutes later, the base was empty. No battle. No airstrike. No artillery. 20-1 odds. Abandoned. Because Logan hadn't destroyed them. He had broken them. And a broken enemy is more valuable than a dead one. They run. They scatter. They tell others what they felt. And what they tell them is that something hunts in that jungle. Something without a face. Something that doesn't play by the rules of war. 3 weeks after the Valley operation, Logan was gone. No formal departure. No ceremony. No goodbye to Stone. No acknowledgement from command. Just an empty bunk. A worn whetstone left on the floor. And the faint smell of gun oil. His transfer file. Classified. His operational records. Sealed. His name in the official history of the war. Absent. Men like Logan don't appear in history. That's not a failure. That's by design. History is written by the loud, the generals, the politicians, the men who fired the big guns. The shadows are written by nobody. Because shadows don't leave records. Captain Stone, in his final debrief before rotating home, wrote one line about the Australian. One line that the censors didn't understand well enough to redact. We did not witness a soldier operating in that jungle. We witnessed something older. Something that does not need war to win it. And maybe that is the most terrifying truth of all. Not that men like Logan existed, but that they were erased. Because some weapons are too dangerous to leave on record. And somewhere, in some jungle, in some war, in some darkness that has no name on a map, there might still be men like him. Watching, waiting, breathing like the dead. If this story gave you chills, you're not ready for what comes next.